What's going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more of the Shell Part 1 Inferno. Last time we left off, we had gone back to get the actual ending to the game, and in all honesty, I have kind of completely forgotten where we're at. I know that we got some background on Yaginuma. I know that we just got finished basically exposing everybody at the mansion of the Mamiya mansion, or the house. We had been like, oh yeah, you fucking, oh yeah, no, that's what was going on. There was a whole lot of weird shit going on with the families, and it's too much for me to explain. So if you want to know exactly what's going on, go back, watch the previous episode. If you are new here and you're just clicking on this video, go back and watch the entire series. It is so worth it. This game is so very good. But without further ado, we're going to jump right back into it. So, we're picking up at the church. So after we kind of wrapped up that whole confrontation with the group at the very end of the last episode, we have now, we're now catching up with Shinji Mamiya here. And we've caught him in the church that he was at when he had run away as a child. So, I stared down the man who appeared before Motoko, Shinji Mamiya. Oh my god, it's so loud. Holy shit.
Yeah. Mamiya Shinji-san. おそらくそうお呼びした方が良いでしょうね。
Now, whether this episode's gonna be like 20 minutes long or another couple hours, who knows?
どうしているんだよ。
Shinji's voice was low and racked with indignation.
あなたが失踪した日、警察はあなた、桂木慎が借りていた事務所を捜索しました。
Also, I'm about to spoil.
その時に見つけたのですよ。
Also, I'm about to spoil one of the endings. God, okay, Reiji, damn. I'm about to spoil one of the endings, so if you don't want to be spoiled on that, again, go back, rewatch the series. Trust me, it's worth it. But remember, in the original, like, I guess main ending that we got, if it can even be called that, Shinji was killed by his father before we even got to him in that final like hunt. So this is the first time we're actually being able to confront him after knowing that he is the killer. So yeah. I showed Shinji the postcard I'd found back then.
これを見つけた時にはどこかわかりませんでしたが、今ならばわかります。ここ春名湖ですね。綺麗な絵です。
だからなぜここにいるのか聞いてるんだ。
Shinji dropped the bag he was carrying as he roared with anger.
なんと罪深い。
Motoko performed the sign of the cross when she saw what rolled out of that bag.
二人目か。
I couldn't see it fully, but it was probably a left arm, meaning the right arm that was sitting next to me on the floor was from a different victim.
それ返せよ。それは母さんの。
これは先日高崎市で遺体となって発見された占い師の右腕でしょう。少なくともあなたのお母さんのものではありません。
そんなことはない。それは僕が見つけてきたんだから。僕が母さんのために集めたんだ。
Shinji staggered a few steps forward.
桂木さん、下がってください。
I couldn't have her in the line of fire if things turned ugly.
返せよ。僕の母さんの腕。
ネアニスの卵のつもりか。そんなことをしたって君の母親は帰ってこないぞ。ミサさんもみゆきさんもすでにダビに付されている。
うるさい。母さんはここにいるじゃないか。この卵の中に入れて連れてきたんだ。
I really hope we pick up the egg and just smash it against the ground. Shinji held out the black egg. No, the jar dyed black with charcoal that he'd been carrying under his arm. If he'd been following the egg of Nianis to a T, then in there was...
それをこちらに渡してもらおうか。その中にいるのは君の母親じゃない。
What?
トウコだ。
トウコ。ああ、そんな名前
What
だ
is
ったね。
happening? What is in the jar,
よ
bro?
く遊んだよ。僕は絵を教えたんだ。覚えているだろう。
Shinji nuzzled his cheek against the black egg and spoke to him.
そうだ。君はここで幼い頃のトウコと遊んでいた。
What?
それなのに なぜ彼女をそんなところ
What?
へ押し込めたんだ
Is Toko alive or dead?
何を言っているんだい。この中にいるのは母さんに決まっているじゃないか。
It sounded like Shinji thought I was mocking him. The mother in his mind was neither Miyuki nor Mio, but becoming Misa. No, girl in shell itself. Furthermore, he was conflating Misa with the current Toko, as well as the Toko he'd known as a child. The contents of the egg had mixed into slush, losing all traces of their original form.
その中には本当にお母さんが詰まっているのですか
Well, if that's Toko fucking mushed into a goddamn jar, well then surely the other ending was better because she wasn't mushed into a jar.
当然だろう。僕が自らこの中へ入れたんだ。母さんはいつも僕に笑いかけてくれるんだよ。
Unless I went wrong somewhere.
しかし君の描いたネアニスの卵では卵の中には赤くてドロリとした液体が溜まっているだけではありませんでしたか
Shinji gasped.
結局母親の頭は見つからず少女は再び母親を求める旅に出る同じことを繰り返し殺戮を繰り返し本当に母親が笑ってくれるとでも思っているのか
うるさい、うるさい、うるさい。この中には
Oh shit. Shinji lifted the jar high above his head. Black pieces scattered across the floor. Oh, here we go. Oh. A head with long black hair rolled out.
ほら見てごらんよ。母さんは笑っている。僕を見て笑ってくれているじゃないか。
触るな
I bellowed at Shinji just as he was about to reach for Toko's head.
それはお前が触れていいものではない
でも僕は母さんを。
もういいでしょ、しんちゃん。
Motoko passed by me and marched toward Shinji.
先生。
So this is the true ending I was missing out on? Fucking Toko gets kidnapped, decapitated, and her head is put in a jar? That's the ending I was missing out on? Well shit, I wish I was left out on it.
あなたは取り返しのつ
There's,
かない
there's,
ことを
there's
してし
two
ま
more
いました。
games! There's two more fucking
悪
games!
いことをしたとき、どうすればいいのかは教えましたよね。
Motoko looked sadly at Shinji as she addressed him in a kind voice.
でも僕は母さんを。
しんちゃんのお母さんではありませんよ。あなたとよく遊んでいたトウコさんではありませんか。
トウコ。
ええ、そうです。ほら、この写真に写っている。
Motoko showed Shinji a photograph. I crouched before the shattered egg. Toko's head was amidst the broken jar pieces. I moved the pieces stuck in her hair and gently lifted her off the ground. Though I didn't know how long it had been since she'd been reduced to just a head, she had a gentle look on her face. It was almost like she was smiling. It was almost like she was sleeping. It was almost like she was having a wonderful dream.
どこすまないいくら謝っても足りないと思うが
時坂さん。
Still cradling Toko's head, I turned to Motoko. Shinji had fallen to his knees at her feet, clutching the photograph. He must have finally realized the cold, hard truth.
しんちゃんは教会内の部屋で一旦預かります。
ええ鍵はかかりますか
ええ。トウコさんは
ここで弔ってもらえますでしょうか
I didn't know if I had the right to make that decision, but it was what I thought was best.
わかりました。
Wow, guys, thank you so much for fucking pointing out. Thanks for pointing out that that ending I got wasn't the right ending. Thank you a lot for that. That was really good. So, okay, let's just keep going. It was a small room akin to a closet. Shinji slumped on the floor and regarded the sky through a window near the ceiling. His thoughts were monopolized by the girl he once played with, the very same girl he'd decapitated. She used to cry quite often. According to her, it was because her mother had disappeared. For some reason, Shinji ended up taking care of her once he arrived at the church. Having never dealt with a child like her before, he was bewildered. He didn't know what to do. Besides, he too was a child. Sometimes he even cried alongside her. It was then that Shinji had suddenly reached an epiphany. This girl's lonely. And so am I. Shinji put a stick into the girl's hand. He'd wanted to give her a pencil, but with Tokyo having just been bombed, there was no way he could have gotten one, since everything was in such short supply. Shinji taught her to draw a picture in the dirt using the stick. The girl quickly got hooked on it and started drawing in every patch of dirt she could find. Her art ranged from mountains on the other side of the lake to the people walking nearby, and even budding flowers. Though her drawings were as incomprehensible as one would expect from a girl so little, what mattered was she seemed to find joy in the act itself. The others at the Sisters of Benevolence soon joined in on their shared activity, and the girl started smiling again. When the black egg had broken, she smiled at him with his mother's face. No, not his mother. It was the face of that sculpture that had driven him to run away from home. The face of Misa Nakahara, who had been transformed in the girl in shell. The girl was young, and so Shinji hadn't realized that she was Misa's daughter. Or perhaps he had, and the reason he'd started taking care of her in the first place was that deep down he saw a resemblance between the two. On the night of April 8th, he'd seen her on that train all grown up. The girl hadn't realized it was Shinji. Why, she probably didn't even remember him. That was how young she'd been back then. Shinji hadn't realized it either. He could never have imagined that little girl in front of him was the same girl from all those years ago. All he saw was girl in shell. Just then, there was a quiet sound.
Sensei.
Shinji glanced at the door. However, there were no signs of anyone coming in. Timidly, he approached the door. An aluminum tray with food had been set outside. Shinji looked around but found himself all alone. Though he was hungry, he didn't feel like eating. He headed into the center of the chapel and surveyed his surroundings once more. No one was there. Shinji staggered outside. The sky was ablaze in the colors of the dying sun, signaling darkness was but a few minutes away. I know. I'll go to the lake. God, excuse me. All he had to do was descend the hill. The girl had once run down that very hill so merrily that she tripped and scraped her knee, eliciting a wail from her. Shinji had given her a piggyback ride back to the church, where he'd treated the cut. The lake swayed, reflecting the sunset. Shinji climbed down the slope at the edge of the lake and stepped into the water. They used to play here too. The little girl couldn't swim, so she never tried to get near the water, and so Shinji would often splash her with water and make her cry. Yet despite all that, she'd stick to him like glue wherever he went.
どうしてこうなってしまったのだろうね、母さん。
Shinji voiced his question to thin air.
分かっていたんだ。母さんはそっちにしかいないってことは。だけど、僕はこっちにいたから。
Oops, sorry. Shinji rose to his feet. He was calf deep in the water.
ああ、そうだ。
Shinji pulled a crumpled photo out of his jacket. It was the one Motoko had given him. He then put the photo by the water side and weighed it down with the rock.
僕は母さんのところへ帰らなくちゃならないから、君は連れて行けないんだ。じゃあね、トウコちゃん。
Shinji began his trek. His knees, thighs, backside, and waist quickly submerged with each step. Though it was April, the freezing cold water sapped his consciousness. However, the more it faded, the clearer something else became.
もうすぐだよ、母さん。
And then, with a splash and scores of spreading ripples, he vanished entirely. Okay, so it was definitely one of those 20-minute episodes. Okay, hold up, you motherfuckers. So you're telling me this was the real ending? That this was the genuine ending? This was the ending that was somehow better than the other one? What? Alright, well, Toko's fucking dead, and, Shinji went ahead and just killed himself. Okay, let me search something up here. Let's see. I want to see what the game description of the second game says. So let's do this. Okay. Girl in the Shell Part 2. Excuse me. Purgatorio. It's 30% off right now. Detective Reiji Tokisaka is back to face down a mystery that spans decades, if not centuries, with the aftermath of his last case weighing on his soul and a long silent cult resurgent. Can he solve the crime, or will it become his curse? Huh. Wow, yeah, no, that's literally... Oh, you can get all 3 games for $37. That's a pretty good deal. If you guys want to play the games yourself, take advantage of that. Let's see what the third game says. The coiling chains of obsession that began with the Shell now threaten to strangle Detective Reiji Tokisaka in the third and final entry in the trilogy. As old friends and foes rise up for one last confrontation, can anyone break the cycle, and can Reiji's heart ever be set free? Well, the art style changes a lot in this third game. Okay. So, I think I've definitely been thrown for a loop here, because well, obviously when I first was looking at these games, I knew that there was 3 games, and all of them had Toko on the cover of them. So I was like, okay, so she's gonna be like the recurring, like a recurring character, but no, she's just fucking dead. So I guess she's gonna be basically, she's gonna sit there alongside Reiji's wife as being the, murdered dame who he feels responsible for letting die, kind of thing, right? I don't even know how to take this. I mean, it's it's, if we're looking at it from an objective standpoint, this is a worse ending than what we saw with the original one, or that first ending that we got. This is a worse ending than that, because Toko's fucking dead. I guess it's all about perspective, because obviously this is the ending that's supposed to propel you into the second game and ultimately climax at the third game. So I'm not really surprised about that. But man, it's just one of those things where there's like no satisfaction in anything that happened. It's like, okay, yeah, we solved the case, but at the end of the day, let's just recount some stuff here, right? There were how many victims just alone with this? There was the original 2 that prompted us getting involved. I think there was one even before those 2. Then, there was Orihime, there was Tojiko, there was Toko Mizuhara. So, I mean, hey, and then obviously now there's Toko. So Yukari has effectively had all of her fucking friends murdered by the same guy, alright? In one of the endings, she was killed, or at the very least, she was, kidnapped and frozen in this crystal ball thing. And then just in general, there was countless other victims. So it's like, yeah, we caught the guy, but then he didn't see jail time or anything like that. He just was like, oh yeah, I'm actually kind of a bad guy, and then just kills himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, good riddance, but like, that's not exactly the most satisfying ending, especially after Toko gets an off-screen death, an off-screen decapitation, compared to the other ending where we saved her, even if she was a fucking, even if she did lose all of her limbs. So I'm really torn between these two endings. I love both of them, but like for me, I definitely prefer that first one. Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know how to feel about this, especially considering this was such a short episode as well. Well, I guess let's end it off with how we ended it off in the original ending, but obviously we have some more stuff to say. I know with that original ending, when I ended it off thinking the series was over, I had said that I felt as though the game had a lot of questions that were left unanswered. Clearly, obviously not. This very, very neatly wrapped everything up. I said this before, and I've been saying this throughout the playthrough. This game does such an amazing job at keeping you on your toes and throwing all kinds of twists and turns and surprises at you. Like, you would have never guessed the next thing that they've prepared to reveal to you, right? I mean, hell, even with, it's like, okay, so Stella, Toko, and Shinji were all in the same orphanage, and then, fucking, you had Misa, Toko's mother, and then whoever Toko's father was, which we still don't know, and then she ended up getting with fucking, this other guy, and then yada yada yada. I mean, good lord, man. And then, it turns out that fucking Toko Mizuhara's mother was actually the birth mother of Shinji, because they took Shinjo's sperm and then his wife's egg, put it into her. She gave birth to Shinji, but then Shinji was raised by the two parents, but then I guess the father left or something like that, and then she went crazy, sexually abused her son, then the son went crazy. I mean, there's so many layers of just perversion, I don't even know how else to say, but just so many layers of disgusting darkness and trauma and horror to this game. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. And then obviously, just when all that ends off on what I consider to be a pretty unsatisfying ending in like a traditional sense, I mean, oh man. It makes me want to get into the second game. Well, this will definitely be one for the books right here. I'm really glad that I just happened to come across it. And I'm excited for the next two games. Like I said, it looks like in the third game the art style changes a lot, and I'm pretty sure from what I glimpsed through it, it seems like the second game also has a change in art style. I do want to. I say this about a lot of games, but I do want to come back and try and go down some other character paths, because I know, for example, you can go down, like, you can get to know more about Stella, you can get to know more about Tojiko and Mizuhara and a bunch of these other characters. And I think going into the second game, while it may not necessarily end up being important because all those characters are either dead or haven't become important quite yet, I do want to know about these characters more. So I don't know if that's something I'll do in a video or if that's something I'll just do in my free time. If I do it in a video, that might become like a mini series. A mini series in the sense that I also want to do a similar kind of thing for like Claned, for example, which I have to get back to Claned now that I mention it. So we might bring back Claned, but we do have a couple of the games that we're working on here. So make sure to check out, for one, the backstage video that I made for the House in Fata Morgana. Also, we started the House in Fata Morgana Requiem for Innocence, so go check out the first episode of that. So far it's very, very interesting, and I'm excited to see where that goes. We're also playing Until Then, which is like a pixel, I don't even know what it's really about yet. We haven't gotten that far into it, but it's very atmospheric, and I love the art style of it. And also, it's got very good reviews, so there you go, eh? Then we have, let's see, what else do we have, if anything? I think that's kind of it. I don't want to be leaving out any games. I think that's it. Oh, no. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. We have Before Crime After Days. So Before Crime After Days, that game is starting to pick up a lot now. So we're kind of getting in where, you know, the pace of that is kind of starting to get into what I imagine is going to be the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. So make sure to go check that out. If you haven't watched that series, start it from the beginning. Really, really good. But without further ado, that's going to be it for this one. We finally are wrapping up the Shell Part 1 Inferno. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me throughout this series and giving all the feedback that you have, including telling me about the fact that I got the completely wrong ending, I guess, which I'm still on the fence about whether I should thank you for that or not, but I'll go ahead and thank you anyway. And yeah, so look forward to some more The Shell. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!